Welcome back to the Human Longevity Project. Thank you so much for embarking on this journey with us around the world. We're so fortunate to have collaborated with some of the world's greatest health experts and are very thankful to have wrapped up this wisdom in one series so you can improve your life. We've reached the last episode, and as you'll see in this segment, many of the societies we visited are actually seeing their health erode as a result of modernization. It appears we can't go back to a pre-modern society. Technology will inevitably continue its progression. So we'll be looking at some fascinating ways to implement cutting-edge health strategies and how we can make use of new and exciting technology to achieve a state of optimal health. And we'll also discuss what the future of medicine may look like. While we're sad to say this is the final episode, it's just the beginning for those of you who have become a Human Longevity Project ambassador. Click the link below to learn more, and now enjoy a look at the future of health.
Exagerada, exagerada, muy exagerada. Porque antes, cuando yo era una niña, que yo tenía 12 años, 10 años, yo caminaba toda la playa de Sámara. Y la gente, la poca gente que había, eran todos conocidos y era gente muy tratable, gente que en lugar de hacerte un daño te protegían. En cambio ahora no.
Perché prima un operaio, insomma un povero, come ero povero io, andavo da una vigna e chiedevo uva e la davano perché i proprietari, che era un guardiano, e gli dicevo là se viene qualcuno dai di questo e la davano a tutti. Adesso non gli danno neanche agua.
Un niño de este tiempo, comparativamente con un niño de hace 25 años, no es ni la sombra. Ahora todo es internet, la computadora, el internet, los teléfonos, todo es un avance. Y eso hace más o menos, yo calculo, que hace unos, podría ser 18 o 20 años.
The younger generations are completely disconnected to the past. I mean, they love the elderly and all that, but like the ways are gone mostly, as I see it. Even from me to my brother, we are 6 years apart, and we're very different. Like
He's
that.
younger than you.
He's young. I'm the oldest, and he's the youngest. So even between me and him, I can see the difference. He has almost no interest in it. He's way more agile with the computer than I am, even though I know how to use it. But I don't know, like he looks at it differently.
Sure.
More, it's cool. That's our roots, but that's our roots. And I still try to bring it from the back. I would say, because those guys are gone, most of them. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I realize, and again in my family. But when I see the young kids, man, it's scary because it's gone, basically. It's too drastic, man.
Very dramatic here.
Very dramatic. Like, I didn't know there was no electricity when I was a baby. So yeah, from that to complaining because the internet is so slow, it's where I am now.
Right.
You see? That got really clear in my head. And that also, that's the main one. Seeing the kids are just looking at it differently.
Y al menos en mi familia, teníamos el mar. Todos buceábamos, todos pescábamos y disfrutábamos esa playa que era tan bella, que ya ahora perdió hasta su color porque era blanca, 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 el agua era cristalina y han venido inversionistas que hacen los tanques escépticos y tiran los desechos a la playa. Para mí es dolorosísimo. A mí me duele y casi nunca voy a la playa porque me dan ganas de llorar, de ver cómo no valoran lo bello.
Molta cosa da sono cambiate. Sono buone ma ci sono anche cattive. No, non si lavora, non voglio molto, voglio lavorare, voglio tutto questo medicinale e questo medicinale lo rovino, forse questo e quello.
What about pharmaceutical medications? Is that something? Are you seeing that change here in Costa Rica?
Yeah.
You get people taking more pharmaceutical drugs.
Absolutely. That is a big change. That is, I would say that's a big change. Now there's a lot of medicine coming from the drugstores. Yeah.
Ahora el problema ha sido de que ya entró Acueductos Alcantarillado con un grupo que se llama La Asada. Y ellos perforan pozos, lo tiran a tanques y con tuberías le llevan el agua potable a las casas, ¿verdad? Que se puede decir potable porque no tienen filtros aún así, ¿verdad? Y nosotros vivimos en una zona que es de mucha cal y esa cal afecta a los riñones y afecta mucho, ¿verdad? Da piedras en la vesícula y todas esas cosas. En eso sí hay una incidencia grande en la comunidad de gente con piedras en los riñones por el exceso de cal que tiene el agua.
Aquí los terrenos que están dedicados al producto de la piña, por ejemplo, está comprobado que son altamente contaminantes para los ríos.
Cultivo, yo hallo que porque ahora las cosas vienen ya con cosas que le contaminaban. Yo no cultivo las cosas, no las coge del monte y a comerlas, ¿verdad? No compra así que, como dice usted, comida hecha. Y antes la hacían en la casa y comía lo que es. Entonces, por eso hallo yo que es mejor, la costumbre de antes, ¿verdad? Y ahora esas costumbres se han perdido.
Bueno, yo siento que antes todo era mucho más fácil y además de que sea mucho más fácil, todo estaba al alcance de la mano. Bueno, hablemos de la alimentación. Había abundancia de carne, cualquier persona iba al monte y cazaba animales y se alimentaba. En cambio ahora la carne escasea, ya no hay esa facilidad de alimentación que había antes, no la tienen.
Entonces eso es comercialización. Por eso nosotros nunca vivimos en esa época, en la época mía, cuando yo tenía 15 años, 18 años, no vivíamos eso. En cambio ahora sí se ve, ahora todo se vive, todo es... yo estuve trabajando para una empresa que se llama For Life y otro quemándolas. Les pone un fósforo y se queman como una flama, como una llama ahí, porque son químicos. Y en aquella época no teníamos esos problemas. Y por eso yo creo que somos tan longevos, porque no comíamos tanta cosa como las que hay ahora. Usted pasa por cualquier parte y le venden una bolsita ahí de algo, y la mayoría es químico.
Mi suegra murió 106 años, muchos años, y es que hay gente con una clase de vida diferente. ¿Por qué razón? Bueno, el sistema, la alimentación de antes no es la de ahora. Y por eso la tanta longevidad, lo dijo bien el compañero, el maíz, la base de alimentos, es...
What have you noticed with the rice and beans? Are they still produced locally, or are they coming from other places?
See, well, that's very tricky also. It's been changing a lot, honestly. I mean, I don't know like the real details, but I noticed most of our beans now are from China, which is pretty strange. And our rice, probably, I mean, I know we grow a big portion of what we consume in the country. I don't know how much is it, and if we bring it from other countries, where, like, from which ones. I think the US, and I was reading about, I think it was Argentina or so, but as far as I understood, because I know we have a lot of rice paddies in the rainy season, here along the Pacific coast especially, I assumed it was Costa Rican produced, but I know it's not quite the case for like at least all the rice we eat.
One of the more shocking things we witnessed in our travels was the encroachment of commercialization and Western culture on these societies. After generations of very small amounts of typical modern diseases, they are now showing up in larger numbers. Golden Arches and McDonald's are appearing on more and more street corners. With the younger generation falling into the fast food trap, in addition to the growing addiction of technologies, these areas may not be known for their longevity in the coming years. We have to intentionally make an effort to restore the societal elements that lead to health. Farmers markets and gardens, limiting the use of cell phone and iPad use, and being active in your community are things we can do today to stay on the right track.
Helping the people to come back to the values of 70 years ago, this is the point. It was much easier to exalt the values 70 years ago. And in Sardinia, I believe, the fact that those values were very transparent, very visible, very touchable, it makes their life not easier, but at least simple. And in a way, those values were visible to everybody and they were shareable.
Whether it's how we source our food, how we eat, how we move our bodies, how we engage with each other as humans, what products that we buy with the aim of reducing exposures, when we exercise mindfulness in those actions, it allows us to become more mindful without really trying hard.
Urban designers have designed from the ground up in Florida and other parts in the U.S. and other parts of the world that are like eco-social communities. You know, they're designed to encourage and foster social interaction, to have a more fluid connection between the living space and the workspace and the natural environment. And so we know what to do. There's no reason that we couldn't do more of this. Just the question is, will we do it, and how will that transition look? I think to some extent it has to happen. So, but whether it will happen in a voluntary way or just because there's no other option, that's what I'm not sure of.
Yeah, we've got this culture, especially in the West, where we want to be led by government, and therefore we get all this frustration and we get all this status quo and we get all this kind of stuff because it's a fear-based system. Whereas if we were inspiring community to lead, to take the risks on behalf of government and healthcare, to do the testing, to do the pilots, to raise the money, to tell the stories in a human way rather than in a rational way, then we're going to get transformation.
The way we're going to fix it, we need doctors on board. We need government on board. We need schools on board. We need teachers on board, parents on board. It needs a cultural, societal shift.
The closer we get to reconnecting all our tribal bonds, the way we've evolved as human beings, the more we're going to sort this. And you can't solve healthcare without solving education. You can't solve education without solving, what we want as a society.
There are two ways to act. Either to promote healthy lifestyle directly to people, to say, you have to run, you have to work longer, and so on. And the other way is to make this environment friendly. And you have to favor people who wants to walk, who wants to bike, and also to favor the network between people.
I think it happens with you starting to behave differently in your personal life, your environment, your family, and then outward from there, your town, outward from there. That's our philosophy. You need to wake up tomorrow morning and start being the person that you want everyone else to be. And in a very compassionate, loving, productive way, start, holding that space for the people around you to also begin doing that.
For all the right reasons, somehow we're doing the wrong things, and really start to have deeper conversations about why we're doing what we're doing. And then when you have the deeper conversations, then it's like, okay, we agree that some reason, somehow we've got here, and it's nobody's fault. What are we going to do tomorrow to get where we want to be again? How can we find our way home? And that requires a lot of trust, a lot of community, a lot of faith, and a lot of dialogue, and understanding there are a lot of ways that we used to connect with the world that we've lost, and somehow we've got to find a way, not in the traditional way, but a reimagination of those old methods with all of this wonderful technology we have as well.
We currently have an opportunity to take advantage of something that the longevity regions of the past didn't have, which is the use of modern technology to help promote health. We're going to cover a few of these technologies that hold promise to resolve dysfunction and potentially increase lifespan.
We are products of our environment in so many ways, and the world in modern life is different than it's ever been in all human history. And not only that, if you're born this year, life is different than it was 10 years ago. And that trajectory is not going to change, it's going to accelerate.
Technology is definitely exploding, in the wellness, longevity, healthcare world. I believe some people have a undue reliance or expectation for technology, meaning they can shirk their responsibilities to take care of themselves and hope that technology is going to swoop in and save them, which I think is a fatally flawed point of view.
Technology is better when it helps us become more in touch with ourselves, not less in touch. I don't think that we need something that always is telling us this is how you live right now.
Getting measurement and feedback has an impact on people's behaviors. No two ways about it. I've noticed that myself, that when you're actually measuring parameters and letting people understand what their parameters are, it suddenly implies certain goals for retesting, saying, hey, I want to move things here.
In elite military circles and astronaut programs and whatnot, they've tried to figure out ways of making these people more resilient and testing methodologies for understanding, are they under appropriate stress, too much stress, are they going to break? And some of what came out of some astronaut programs, I believe out of the Russian cosmonaut programs, was looking at the duration between heartbeats. And even though our heart rate may be 60 beats per minute, it doesn't mean that it happens once per second. It will speed up, it will slow down. And this is reflective of where we are in kind of our autonomic nervous system. We have our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system.
So what everybody knows what heart rate is. Right? How many times does the heart beat in a minute? It's reflected in beats per minute, that's heart rate. But in reality, in a healthy person, somebody who's resilient, our heart rate is changing with each and every heartbeat. So what that means is the time between each pair of heartbeats is always varying. And that's what's called heart rate variability.
So when you're stressed emotionally or physically, or when you're sick, the spacing between your heartbeats changes, and that's one of the signals that tells your body how much energy to make and how to allocate its resources. What the HeartMath people did is really groundbreaking, because they made a little app, a little sensor that allows you to become aware of these changes in your heartbeat and then to take control of them. So if your body is going into I'm stressed mode, you're like, stop that. And then you can tell the body to go back into rest and relax mode. And the effect is very, very broad spread across your body, because if you're unconsciously in fight or flight mode, you won't be making energy right and you're aging. When you take yourself out of that mode through conscious intention and a relatively simple skill to learn, then magically you feel like yourself again, and you'll probably live longer too.
Slight fluctuations from heartbeat to heartbeat in terms of the period of time between each heartbeat has been shown to actually be associated with things like better vagus nerve tone, better balance of the sympathetic fight and flight and parasympathetic rest and digest nervous systems, increased preparedness to train, better recovery.
And if we have great heart rate variability at rest, it usually indicates that we're calm and we're rested and we're not overly stressed. And again, if we think about hormetic stress and its benefits, we don't want to always be completely at stress. So that itself can become kind of a negative influence. So we want some degree of stress, but that heart rate variability can give us a little bit of an objective guide as to the total what's called allostatic load. It's everything that's weighing on us.
This is a test that tells us what the activity and health of the nervous system is. So there's very few, I don't know of any other assessment that a doctor can use that will give them that window, non-invasive, quick window into the health of the autonomic nervous system of a patient. So one thing we measure is how much of it we have, and that's important. However, HRV is also instantly changing and reflecting our emotional state. And that's independent of how much of it we have. We can be young and have a lot of it, a lot of variability, or older and less of it. But if we get frustrated or anxious or pissed off, whatever. Basically, the pattern of the rhythm of the heart, the HRV, becomes very chaotic and jerky looking. It's really amazing to see this, and you can hook yourself up to devices now and see this for yourself. On the other hand, when we're feeling things like compassion or appreciation, care, feeling good, right? For kids, we might say it's that feeling you have when you get a good deal at the mall, right? But that inner feeling, the heart rhythm has a very different pattern. And that's looks like a rolling hills or a sine wave pattern, and that's what we call coherence. And many studies, there have been over 300 independent studies now published on coherence that really clearly show that it's really the optimal state for reducing stress and really having good health, for facilitating the body's natural regenerative processes, and really keeping us healthy. The more coherent we are, the healthier we are.
that heart rate variability can give us a little bit of an objective guide as to the total what's called allostatic load. It's everything that's weighing on us, and we get one objective number. And usually when people graphically display it, it's a color. It's like a green, a yellow, or a red. And so when we work with athletes, if we're pushing them really hard and we're pushing them into an overtraining block of their preparation, if we start seeing some oranges or something, then we're not that worried because we know we're going to drop their training volume. But if people are continually burying themselves and they're getting sick and they're seeing retrograde performance and they're ignoring that objective element of the heart rate variability, then we need to fix that. And that's where the HRV is so powerful in helping people to understand how are they handling all the stresses of life.
And this ability to bring the system back to parasympathetic is what enables it to deal with these insults and not go down this rabbit hole of the constant spiral downward. And this is what we're missing, is an autonomic reset that brings us back to balance and allows us to get to sleep deeply, and reset our bodies.
I like to keep it simple. While the sophistication of these devices is increasing and I'm excited about what could happen with them, a lot of the value is simply wearing, engaging, and helping it change your behaviors versus thinking it's going to sort of do things for you.
What I've found is that most tracking of what's going on in your body takes too much work to be worth it. So things that are lightweight and don't require attention matter most, and sleep tracking is way more important than tracking how many steps you take. The technology that I'm using now for that is the Oura Ring.
I use the Oura Ring at night, and that will take brief 5-minute measurements all throughout a night of sleep. So when I wake up, what I'm able to do once I sync my ring is I can actually see, how the heart rate variability looks from a whole series of samples during the night, so I can get a lot of data.
And I've found out of everything that's out there, something like the Oura Ring is really powerful in just providing some objective feedback about what are you doing that's beneficial.
You wake up in the morning, you can sync it with your phone, and it tells you how much deep sleep did you get. And it has enough of a data collection thing to give you quality data.
So the problem actually that Oura was trying to solve from the beginning is helping people improve sleep. One of the focuses that we wanted to make sure was giving people objective data that can help them, sense whether something is improving their sleep or not improving their sleep. And so, we focus on things like, basic things like heart rate, heart rate variability, respiratory rate, body temperature, but then also more granular data such as, pulse waveform velocity, and all of those different data signals along with movement.
What I like so much about the Oura Ring is that detecting certain signals from the finger seems to have advantages over detecting the same signals at other parts of the body, like the wrist. So for example, the Oura Ring will sample 250 times a second on the arterial side of the finger. It's sampling things like pulse wave, it's sampling temperature, it's sampling movement through actimetry. All of those things then will better predict what stage of sleep that you're actually in. And we're going to learn more about sleep than we ever have. So this has huge potential to help us as a population, as humanity, understand what natural sleep looks like in different scenarios, what natural sleep is, and then we can use that information to sort of counteract the personal information that you're getting, and then all of it can then hopefully help an individual have better health across the lifespan.
Really, I mean, if you're camping or hunting or out in more of kind of like a natural environment, sometimes you get really tired at night, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. You're like, hey, I'm ready for bed. And the reason for that is because you're not getting bombarded by all this blue light, which limits your body's natural ability to be able to release melatonin. So you see a lot of people now wearing these blue light blockers. I call them birth control for your head. A lot of them aren't that attractive. But I wear them, I wear them at night to actually limit the exposure of my retina to large amounts of blue light.
I had a guy who started using these glasses. These are the TrueDark Daywalker glasses. And he emails me and goes, Dave, I wore these at work and I'm not tired at the end of the day. And it's been driving me nuts because every day I eat the same things. But on Saturdays and Sundays, I feel great at 5 p.m. And during the week, I feel like I'm wrecked. It was the light. Because at home he had good lighting and at work he had bad lighting. It's even worse with looking at bright phones, looking at these big screen TVs that have incredibly bright lighting, you are telling your energy production system, the one that's supposed to keep you young, that it is the middle of the day, even though it's 10 o'clock at night. And that completely breaks this delicate system that's there to give us energy. The real breakthrough came from looking at circadian rhythm research and looking at what spectrums of light are the ones that tell your body it's daytime. Blue blocking glasses will help your body make more melatonin at night. That's been very well established. I used to wear those years ago. The problem is they don't go far enough. So during the day, blue blockers are too much, and at night, they're not enough. At night, I switched to the TrueDark Twilight glasses. This is a set of patented frequencies. These are layered optical filters, not a tint. And what happens there is everything that's documented to tell the brain it's daytime goes away. When I wear these glasses, in fact, when other people wear them too, you can actually document a 2 to 7% increase in strength output in your muscles. We've seen changes in alpha brainwaves, and they're basically like noise-canceling headphones for your eyes, because 5% of the cells inside the retina of your eye are called melanopsin sensors. And what that means is they collect light, but it's light you'll never see. They bypass your optic nerve and go straight into something called the SCN. That is the master timing signal for your entire body. When I wear these for an hour or two before bed, I can double the amount of deep sleep I get.
We exhausted the ability of our detoxification mechanisms many years ago, decades ago. And so pretty much what we see in chronic illness now is a direct outcome of that. With also the beautiful thing is that, of course, there is, once you know that, there is a number of beautiful technologies available to us that can change the equation.
Let's face it, we sometimes aren't in the sun as much as we could be because of our lifestyle in this post-industrial, ceilinged indoor cubicle chained era.
There's a reason that warm air feels different than sitting next to a radiant heat source. It's infrared light. And we are called to those sources, especially when it's cold, because it's actually helping our biology work better. So the first thing your body does when you eat is it generates heat, which is infrared light. So what makes a lot of sense just on the face of it is you sit in an infrared sauna, or even you use an infrared illuminator, like an infrared LED light, and you shine infrared light on your body. It makes it easier for your body to make energy in your cells.
We see that the skin is the body's largest detoxification organ, and you actually see a loss of metals and toxins through the skin. When you use something like, a dry sauna would work, but you actually see a deeper cleansing effect and more sweating occur with something like near and far infrared therapy.
By heating up the skin, you're creating a whole series of events in there, like cytokine production, that there is many factors in the immune system get activated that are helpful to fight chronic infections. You have 10 toxins coming in a day, and the body detoxes 11. That's a healthy person. But the moment 10 are coming in and only 9 are coming out, you start accumulating stuff, and that's of course all of us. But if you are sweating, it is absolutely certain that many of the petrochemicals come out, and some metals.
I read some of the data looking at metal levels in sweat, and they were similar to urine. And the old dictum about sweating, the skin is your third kidney. And so I do believe that. And I think saunas and sweating are great. I like the infrared a lot because it has an autonomic aspect to it. You need parasympathetic sweating. It's got to be chill sweating.
I happen to have this label of fibromyalgia, but I had a toxin problem. Then I went to my first functional medicine conference in 1996, and it was fascinating because they said it really didn't matter what label they were putting on their patients, whether it was chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, sometimes even MS, lupus. They said their toxic load was too high. They used the analogy of a rain barrel. Said, here's the rain barrel full of toxins and or heavy metals, and all of a sudden you reach a point. It can be an emotional trauma or a car accident or pesticide exposure. Boom, overflows the top of the rain barrel and puts pressure on the immune system, the thyroid, the digestive system. So I realized I wasn't the only one that would benefit from detoxifying. I went on a journey of trying to find or make a sauna that would give people a pristine or natural, healthy environment to detoxify. That was kind of my goal. My concern was a lot of the saunas on the market are very high in EMF, electromagnetic fields. The other concern with the infrared saunas on the market is VOCs, volatile organic compounds. Even though it looks like it's real wood, often hidden behind, often in the frame, they'll have particle board or plywood that off-gases formaldehyde, which is a potential carcinogenic chemical. So what I did is I eventually reached a point where I thought, okay, I'm going to produce a sauna that is healthy, very low in EMF and electrical fields, completely non-toxic, and I can verify that with independent testing. So that way when someone gets a sauna, they can say, okay, I am in a healthy environment.
During my periods of intensive detox, when I was really feeling crappy because there was a lot of toxins in the blood, the sweating relieved a lot of those. And even if it doesn't get rid of every toxin, just by taking whatever it's good at, taking that out of the total burden, you're settling down the system. So I like sweating a lot.
The vibratory effect of infrared being able to do things like lyse fat cells or break open the membrane of fat cells. We see the ability to be able to allow you to express more heat shock protein, which has like a stress resilience effect in the body, very similar to what we'd, that hormetic effect we'd get from the consumption of wild plants, very similar to that. The body's like, oh crap, I'm getting hot, so I'm going to produce a greater ability for the body to be able to withstand this stressor of heat.
And that said, being cold sometimes is really good for you, but getting infrared light from an external source can give you an added boost that you wouldn't expect. When you've taken that burden off your mitochondria, they can use the water that was transformed by the heat and the light in order to more effectively make proteins and make energy.
So a lot of people have heard of cold laser therapy. A more current term for it is photobiomodulation. So if you're looking at research studies, that's what it's usually called, is photobiomodulation. If we take a look at a laser, like here I have one of the ones that I use here, when a patient looks at it, it looks like a barcode scanner or like a laser leveler. So people look at it like, how the heck is this going to do anything at all? Because it doesn't look very impressive. The reason why it's effective is because then those photons of energy were going to be absorbed primarily in cytochrome C oxidase in the mitochondria. And from there, that's where kind of the magic happens, because when you get that energy absorbed in that particular port of the cell, you're going to get increased ATP production. And ATP is a basic energy molecule that your cells need for pretty much everything. The special properties of laser is that it's coherent. So it means that it's a focused beam rather than like when you've got a regular incandescent bulb, it's scattered in all different directions. So when you have a coherent beam of light, and lasers can be of different wavelengths, different frequencies, different powers, that can signal the cell to respond in a different manner. So the cells are very dependent on what the dosage of that laser is, what the energy is. And that's why you can get these different, what we call photobiomodulatory effects. So if we look at symptoms, there's a really great review done by Hashmi, who did this study in the Journal of PM&R, and he was able to find that you've got benefits for stroke, you've got benefits for hair regrowth, benefits for dampening inflammation, benefits for stimulating mesenchymal stem cells, for stimulating keratinocytic stem cells as well. You've got joint improvement, dampened inflammation, there's improved sports performance as well. So there's numerous different benefits to where it kind of sounds like snake oil, to where it sounds like it's too good to be true, because you look at all these different things that when you get that energy from the laser in there, the body knows what to do with it and how to modulate it appropriately. Or if the immune system's out of balance, again, you apply the laser, we're not trying to stimulate it, we're not trying to dampen it, the body takes the energy and is able to figure out where to go from there. And that's a fantastic thing, because our body's a lot smarter than we give it credit. And if we can just nudge it in the right direction with things like laser, healthy lifestyle, we can make a huge impact on our quality of life.
Our world and all those forces and pressures that we have cause us to live in a way that's not natural. And to the degree that technology can help us live more naturally, I'm all for it. There is, again, potential for these things to be useful, but you have to understand how to use them, that it's not a silver bullet, it's a part of more of a whole ecology of health behaviors that we need to engage with. And if it is, again, reinforcing a lifestyle pattern that itself is good, then I think technology can help us live more naturally. When it helps us live more like a technocrat, and disconnected from our natural behaviors, then I think we get into trouble.
I feel for the average consumer out there who, here's the next greatest thing. It's marketed to you in a very effective and compelling way. Should I do this? Do I invest the money? Do I invest the time, etc.? So I think over time we'll see that, like everything else, the field's going to narrow. The ones that are really doing good work are going to end up emerging and will be sort of standardized. So I'm thrilled about the technology, but in the end, I think what people really need to do is to get a context for what their own philosophy about health is, and then act in alignment with that.
When we first met Hideko, we were amazed. She's the epitome of healthy aging, and her ability to interact with her environment through gardening and walking 2 or 3 kilometers to her friend's house, to read the paper without any glasses, and to function in a way that I've never seen before in a 97-year-old. And every morning she would have a routine of getting up and walking to the gate and opening the gate, grabbing the newspaper and coming back. You could tell that her routine was important to her garden was important to her, and these were the things that she lived for. Her daughter was telling us about how she would climb orange trees at 95 by herself. Her love for working in the garden and her ability to till up her soil and cut down sugarcane really blew us away and showed us what's possible at the age of 97, and really gave us an idea for a template of longevity or healthy aging. Even to this day, she still defies what you think she might be capable of. Her willingness to engage her environment is pretty remarkable at the age of 97.
動きもよくて、あれですよ、体がいいから一生懸命働けるから、それであれじゃないかな。健康であって一生懸命遊ばないで頑張ることかな。
Η δουλειά που έκανα. Γιατί όσο κάθεσαι, όσο ελαφριά είναι η δουλειά που κάνεις, τόσο λιγότερο ζεις. Όταν δουλεύεις σκληρά, είσαι πιο σκληρός.
Ma i giovani non lavorano oggi come prima. Prima facevamo un lavoro pesante e camminavamo a piedi, ora si cammina in macchina. Ora diventati tutti, sono nati in macchina, sono nati a cavallo, sono nati a sedia, diciamo. Ma allora erano nati in mezzo alla povera, per dire pace, lavoro e giustizia.
Ένα από όλα είναι λοιπόν να αγαπάς τους ανθρώπους και να σε αγαπάνε. Πρώτον. Δεύτερον, η διατροφή. Και τρίτον, να είσαι ευχαριστημένος με την εργασία που κάνεις. Να μην καταπιέζεσαι, να μην χορταίνεις, να δουλεύεις, ας πούμε, να περνάει η μέρα και να λες, μα τι πέρασε κιόλας, ας πούμε. Πιστεύω αυτό ότι είναι το α και το ω για κάθε άνθρωπο, όχι για μένα. Βέβαια και η διατροφή οπωσδήποτε παίζει ρόλο όταν δεν κάνεις καταχρήσεις. Γιατί δεν φτάνει ο άνθρωπος να ζήσει πολλά χρόνια, να είναι και γερός.
その食生活、睡眠、これからその行い、そういうバランス性の行いが悪かった時に病気は重ねてくる。働くことで子育てをすること、そして社会で活躍することで、それからお食事は何でもやはり好き嫌いなく食べてきているということ、それが長寿につながっているというような共通的なものがあります。Essere sereni, calmi, trattare con tutti, voler bene a tutti e così dialogare sempre, però sempre essere calmi e voler bene a tutti, anche aiutare anche quando si può ad altri.
Πρώτα, ειρηνική ζωή. Δεύτερον,
καλή διατροφή, απλή, μεσογειακή, όχι πολλά κρέατα, όχι αλκοόλ πολύ και γενικά αυτό που λέμε υγιεινή διατροφή και προπάντων όχι στρες κλπ. Και η επαγγελματική ζωή να είναι απλή. Όχι το κυνήγι του χρήματος, μία απλή ζωή, μέτρια, ούτε πολύ φτωχή, ούτε πολύ πλούσιοι, ούτε άγχος, ούτε κυνηγητό. Ειρηνική διαβίωση.
Είχα σαν αρχή μου είχα να περνάω καλά με όλο τον κόσμο.
Io auguro sempre di obbedire all'anziano che sa per esempio una certa esperienza e già sa dove mettere le mani e non lasciarsi assassinare da nessuno. Lui deve governare se stesso, per esempio. Praticare con gente, per esempio, buona, perché il proverbio dice chi va con zoppo impara a zoppicare.
Δεν σκέφτηκα ποτέ μου το θάνατο. Αυτός δεν τον αποφεύγω με τίποτα. Και το Θεό μπάρβα να έχω. Άμα θα έρθει η ώρα μου, σκέφτομαι μόνο τι δουλειές θα κάνω.
Pura vida es sentirse uno bien. Pues es pura vida es sentirse bien en todo, no tener problemas, no tener nada. Y eso es pura vida. Me siento pura vida.
Es para vivir calidad de vida. Es lo que necesitamos.
Guarda, è una fortuna. Quanti ci sono che vorrebbero arrivare a quest'età? Non è facile.
For me, the future of longevity is about keeping that ancient wisdom going, but using the best bits of modern science to enhance it.
You know, so I think that the future of medicine is going to be more subtle, more energy related, more things that we can't see, but we're well primed to do that because now we have so many different technologies that are enabling us to see what is invisible. So I'm excited for that. In fact, that's where, you know, I'm so done with, you know, kind of the nutrient wars that I see in nutrition. It's like, oh, can we just move on to like the finer, subtler aspects that are preclinical before we've even emerged with aging conditions or disease so that we can actually, you know, just make good choices.
What we're looking at is a way of predicting future disease, preventing future disease, personalizing treatment so that it's a fit, not just for the average human in America. I mean, that was the old era of science, was like, what's the best for the average human? And what we realize is there's not a lot of average humans walking around, and that we have the technology and the precision now to be able to provide personalized treatments. And then the fourth P that I think is the most important is participatory, because participatory medicine really redefines who the most important person in a medical relationship is. Up until now, it was the doctor, because the doctor would save you, they would give you drugs, and you would be saved by the doctor. The doctor's the hero. In the new medicine, it's the patient that's the hero, because the patient has to go through their own journey. They have to deal with their own stuff. They have to learn how to, you know, control themselves emotionally, lifestyle, or others. And when the patient becomes the most, when there's a shift in the most important person in the medical system, that is a complete change, because there's lots of entrenched interest and there's a lot of ego otherwise. But in 15 years, the medical system will realize, and it'll be practiced clinically, what there is an opportunity right now is for people to go into the literature, realize what's an opportunity for them right now and take control of their health today and not wait for medicine to catch up.
I think part of it involves expanding our definition of health and what it is, and shifting it from simply the absence of disease, which I think is, you know, if you were to find a definition in a medical textbook, that would probably be it, to something that's a lot more progressive and robust.
And no one seems to bother with health. But that's because we don't have a very simple definition of health that we could actually stick to. So what is health? I define health very simply. Health equals A plus B plus C. A is the absence of disease, which is the purview of illness medicine. B is the balance between anabolic processes, meaning processes that build, and catabolic processes, which is processes that destroy. According to C, the cycle of life of an organism. So that's my very simple definition of health.
An issue I really have in healthcare today is that even the practitioners who want to work functionally, all the nutritionists, what I like to call the allied functional medicine practitioners, those that aren't the physicians, they're still buying into the old model where there is a quick fix, where all the information I can read in books or learn from Google are going to give me the answer. And they're disparaging the system, but they're actually practicing with that theory in mind. I often feel like I'm shining a light on a gaping hole that nobody wants to look at in healthcare today, which is where we really take into consideration the truth of the individual. We're mistaking what works in a more advanced medical model for what can work for health and optimal health in a different population.
We use qualitative statistics, whereas illness medicine uses quantitative statistics. And illness medicine is after lifespan, and health optimization medicine is after health span. So that is a very simple framework by which to do health. You know, at least there is a handle on what health is all about. There is a scientific way of measuring health. I want to be able to tell what tests need to be made and what to give the patient. So it's an entirely clinical practice. You know, it's not some theoretical thing that you can do for your health, but some practical thing that is actually a clinical practice for your health. And what is wonderful about this is that you do not need a doctor to actually practice health optimization. Health optimization practice or hope is actually made for health practitioners to be able to also detect and correct imbalances. There are more health optimization practitioners than there are doctors, and therefore we might be able to shift the direction of medicine with the health optimization practitioners than having a larger number of doctors.
It's hard to believe, but after 2 years of filming and production, we reached the end of the Human Longevity Project. Thank you so much for watching this series with us, all of your comments, and sharing some of the most groundbreaking information available with your friends and family. Remember, the clock is ticking, and your chance to save more than 50% on the entire series, all of the interviews, MP3s, transcripts, the action plan, and other bonuses disappears very soon. By purchasing this series, you'll join our community and will be helping to save the lives of mothers and newborns in developing nations that don't have access to the care they need to survive complicated births. We have one primary objective: to help save the lives of 1 million children, which is why we've partnered with several organizations around the world in order to accomplish this mission. A portion of our proceeds will go to organizations building birthing centers, training birth attendants, and educating communities on safe birthing practices. They also provide portable incubators that have already saved the lives of nearly 300,000 babies. Click the link below to join us and thousands of others in our effort to reduce this unnecessary suffering around the world. And if you found this series valuable, please share it with your friends and loved ones who may benefit, and let's keep this momentum going. For all of us at the Human Longevity Project, we wish you nothing but health, happiness, and love.